Hello, my people. Welcome back to the Kinetic PE Mix Show on WTLB Digital Broadcast Transform You Radio. I'm your host, as always, DJ Potential. We got a real great guest for you today. Someone, on the other side, we was talking about New York and the fast pace of that city, and it's just his wonderful music, which you're gonna definitely enjoy. Is something that you can place on repeat and find your inner workings, find your peace. Because like it doesn't disturb you, as I told him on the other side, it does not disturb you. It's great balance in the song. The vocals are awesome and amazing. When It's My Time is an indie pop rock project born out of NYC. It was started by Andrew, who's on the line with us. He's an immigrant from Russia, but he's a longtime New Yorker, and we're proud to have him. Songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, author, and producer. And the whole idea of When It's My Time is to reflect on our complex feelings, such as nostalgia, alienation by the internet technologies, fear of failure and death, and other things. And as I told you before, it's going to take you into focus to eventually work out all of those issues, find peace, and betterment for your life. So I got my good brother here with me. He's got a new release of a song that's coming out on the 27th. Well, it's already out called Void, and I checked that out. And two other transition tracks that was released early on. So how's it going, Andrew?
Hey man, thanks for having me. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. And just for like the audience, just can you say your last name for us?
My last name is, I'll just say it, Krivtsov. That's how we pronounce it in Russian. Yeah, so obviously Russian last name. I grew up in Russia. I was born in Soviet Union, quite old. So yeah, and then I immigrated to the States, and I've been living in New York for 8 years, over 8 years now. Um, Formed a band, played in there, played East Coast, toured a little bit, and now I decided to start my own project, especially since during the pandemic there's no gigs. I'm focusing mostly on production and writing.
Which is a very good time to like do so. A lot of people are doing that, and I think we get some amazing quality music out of that. So, with with that being said, how would you describe your genre of music?
I would say it's mostly indie pop with some rock in it, some alternative rock. You can't go away from your roots because I've been mostly playing punk rock and alternative rock all my life. With some experimental sounds, I am planning on mixing in some more genres because previously I would mostly write for a four piece, so it would be two guitars, vocals, bass, and drums. The standard rock band. And now I want to get the max out of the creative freedom that I have as a producer, and I'm experimenting with synths and special sounds, ambience, textures, everything, so I can paint the pictures, like the layers, and really create these environments in my songs where the little objects there and there, and you can have all those details and not just focus on what the guitar is playing at the moment. You can just cut off the guitar and only have it for one chorus. And I find inspiration in the amounts of feel, like the possibilities that I can have access to.
Yeah, I really caught that as I was listening to Void. It was sort of like you were floating through a pathway, and you did have all this different scenery to kind of look at. So really appreciate you for what you're doing. Uh, so how did you get into music?
I've been practicing recording and producing since I was very little, I would say 10 years old. About that age, I discovered hip hop. It just entered Russia as a genre, and it came there from New York City. So they started in Moscow, and everyone, like every kid in school, was obsessed with hip hop, with the new artists that just came out. Yeah, and I started trying to record my own hip hop. I would use like a two-deck cassette player and record on it. And then things got a bit more serious, and then I switched to rock genre in my taste to music. And a friend of mine called me and he said, "Hey man, you want to be in a band?" I'm like, "I don't know how to play anything." And he said, "Oh, it's okay. We're just gonna show you how to press a couple of chords, and you can learn a song, and you can be in a band, and we're gonna play things." I'm like, "All right." So I came in and we started a band, and we started playing that song. It went horribly bad, and yeah, but over time, I kind of started improving, and none of those people are practicing music anymore, and I'm kind of the only person out of my small town in Russia who made it to New York and keep practicing music despite the like age and life changes. Like most of the people having families and real jobs, as you call them. And yeah, I'm just trying to, because I honestly cannot live without the creative process.
I know. So it's like you fell in love with it, from the time that you had the two deck cassette player, to like even with like just the attempt at the boy band. Yes.
Yeah.
So, but those times are fun, and these memories never leave us, and it really it does become a passion, and for those who are truly a lover of music like you are. Uh, so just curious, like who were your musical influences growing up?
So as I said, I started with the Russian hip hop artists, which I don't think I would mention. I was really obsessed with Eminem at some point, like for a couple of years, and I couldn't understand a word he was saying because I didn't know English so well back then. Yeah, but the vibe and the energy in it, it was something special. And I actually released all of the albums a couple of years ago, and I'm like, it was a revelation. It was a completely different experience with all the story behind it, all the songs. Yeah. Then it was Russian punk rock scene mostly, the emo wave, the European and American, like early 2000s. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the band from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Anti-Flag are huge for me because of the protests and how like their stand for something really important against all odds, and they didn't, even though they went a little bit more to the pop in their music in the latest albums, it's not, it's still them, and I admire this. Sex Pistols, and recently I got really into it's gonna sound 21 Pilots. I mean, they're very popular, but I just admire the work Tyler Joseph does in the production of everything he does. All the demos, all the songs. He already have vision for all this, and it's a huge world he's created. Uh, I just have admiration for people who are capable to create the entire universe just out of their minds. And I thought I would try to produce myself as well. So I would say 21 Pilots would definitely be one of the biggest influence for this project in particular.
Yeah, I'm kind of now now we're getting kind of like how this is shaping you as an artist and as a producer, and and it really makes a lot of sense. And Eminem, well, that's huge. So like and you'd be surprised that a lot of people don't even put Eminem on a top list. So like for you to put Eminem on your top, it's truly impressive. So and 21 Pilots, they're awesome. They're beyond. So where do you get your inspiration, to create great music?
So, as a Russian, we're pretty sad guys, as you might know. Like, we know the um, cost of struggles and everything because of tough history. So, I tend to pay a lot of attention to it, unfortunately, even though I'm not like being super pessimistic or anything, but I find inspiration in struggles, and the sources of suffering is by Buddhist philosophy and in general philosophical questions, because we all have anxieties and the fears and all those things that kind of stopping us from just living happy lives. And I want to dig deep inside of myself and take this to the surface and analyze it and share with people what I found and what I came to, and maybe help to overcome it and find some light in the world and some happiness. So I'm inspired basically by talking to people and understanding what bothers them, having really close relationships, and talk about deep things that we don't always want to talk about. Not just happy moments, but the sad moments when we are alone and struggling, and when we need support from other people and someone to understand.
This is where the world is right now. So I think we need a lot more of that. And just to switch gears a little bit, and we're still kind of in line with this conversation here, because relationship is so important, especially when it comes to just how the music you're putting out is, especially if it has a message behind it, is like connecting with people. What has been the reaction from fans concerning your music?
So, as I said, I'm trying to bring up very complex ideas in there, and I'm still working on building my brand. So, there will be more songs, more singles that are covering more and more complex feelings that we have. It's going to be individual conversations about each thing. And so far, I think I am trying to get people to feel the vibe with my music. I recently read a book by David Byrne, from Talking Heads. It's called How Music Works, and it was very inspiring because the way of he talks about music, the environment that shapes the music. I figured that music could be something more than just a song played by instruments. It could be the whole picture with the layers in it and different characters, and you can create this feel. So I would say currently my fans would start getting connected with the ideas that I have, not through the lyrics necessarily, but for this feel. And once you have this subconscious connection, hopefully, I mean, it's pretty ambitious, but I hope that's what's happening. Then maybe people would be interested what are my lyrics are about, because I'm trying not to be too obvious in what I'm saying. I'm trying to be a little bit more poetic and deliver ideas in kind of referenced way, not just directly. So yeah, I think right now it's the phase of the connection on this emotional level mostly, and that's the feedback I've been getting. That my song Void, that is now out on all the platforms, it's very spacey and it feels like that deep space and some cold place, things like that. I'm currently working on the music video for it. It's going to be the visual parts of it are going to even get you deeper into that.
Yeah, I'm looking for that because again, I just can't stress enough like that floating, journey. And boy, like yeah, I'm gonna play. I gotta play it again for myself, because like just going to that spot within yourself to to allow yourself to go there and and get lost in it, lost in the music. I mean, it's a totally different feeling that doesn't that most songs don't deliver you typically. So I think a lot of people are really going to love this, and really going to especially the people who listen here on this station here. Um,
Thanks, man.
so you mentioned the music video and in terms of like getting that out, is there any other goals you like looking to hit, heading into this year, with your music?
Yeah, totally. So as I said, I'm trying to build more comprehensive brand. Brand sounds a bit too markety. I would say the vision and like to create all this content to deliver my vision to people who are subscribing to my Instagram and other places where they connect with my music and my ideas. I'm going to be writing some articles. I, as as you might figure, English isn't my first language, so I am a little bit anxious about it, about doing some writing in English. But that's the point of my project, to overcome fear. And if I cannot overcome my own fear, how am I going to help others to do that, right? So I'm going to just go ahead and start writing about it, and maybe in the articles there will be some conversation on a different level. There will be some more obvious things. It will be about the actual things that you can experience and feel in your life. I have a whole bunch of ideas for the songs. Some of them already started, some of them on different level of production. I am currently writing the next song that will be about the nostalgia, the feeling of nostalgia. You know how we sometimes go to places that we think can bring us to the past, but they have changed forever and they're not the same anymore. And then you have this bitter feeling inside you that you realize that this place never it doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't exist in this universe, and you will never go back. And you have to focus at this moment to keep going forward. So, the song I'm working on, it is called Home, and hopefully it will be released in a couple of months. Um, it's I love it. I love the way it's coming out so far. So and I have some other songs. There is a song about the social media technologies alienating us from each other, and this feel of how we have to keep acting our lives instead of living them and share with other people. I have a lot of ideas for this year, honestly, a lot of draft songs, and I just want to help people because sometimes people be like, "Oh, I can do this. I can be that or that," and I want to say, "Yes, you can. Look inside yourself, and you can make your life anything. You can be happy. It's just maybe things you think that will make you happy aren't the things that will actually make the real change. Maybe you should just get rid of some things in your life instead of trying to acquire them and let go of possessions." A lot of message there, honestly. That's why I started this project, because there's a lot of message I want to send out, a lot of thinking I've been doing, and a lot of meditation, a lot of thoughts that hopefully will resonate with someone.
Yeah, so like as I'm listening, it's definitely hitting me, and you know, this is what we need. This is the direction that the world's going into, and we got to have someone leading the way. That's already been putting in the work. Uh, what do you feel is missing from most from music right now? And I mean, you already kind of talked about how you can provide that need as an artist, but
Mhm.
but if you want to even like touch on it again.
I would I would want to talk not about something that's missing, but rather what we have in excess. I think there's a lot of cult of consumption right now, and a lot of artists are kind of pushing this idea into the world. The famous, the huge artists, like look at the billboards. It's all about partying and being successful. This idea of success, the constant struggle to be better than others, more for yourself, the me culture, the profits you can get, the money and things you buy and everything. Not always. There are always there's also overly enthusiastic and positive songs. Not like it's a bad thing. It's always good to stay positive and enthusiastic about the things. But I think a little piece that might be missing, even though not entirely, is that piece of sharing your sadness with someone, your struggles and your problems and your thoughts about what are you feeling right now actually, and just sharing this instead of just chasing this unicorn all the time. And I am, as a Dostoevsky ancestor, have to bring it up to the surface and share with people and say that sometimes things just cannot be fixed, and we wounded forever by some things, and that's okay. That's what makes us ourselves, and that's what we're carrying with us throughout the life. I think the music missing people like Alice Smith, kind of a close friend that you can talk to at nights where you're alone. I mean, if you heard Elliot Smith songs, you would know what I'm talking about.
I like it. I like it. That's definitely on the path of healing. This episode of healing. This is therapy. So you have a real melodic voice that brings the inner world and the outer world together. This is what I have noticed, and as we relax with the instruments in the background, especially, um, is there something outside of just listening to the music? You want people to achieve when they listen to the first time. So this is like for the first time listeners.
Yeah, I don't have much hope that people would get really deep connection with it on the first time listening, but that's why I'm putting so much effort into creating those uh, sonic pictures with the sounds that I'm using, so people can actually instantly um, find themselves in this world that I'm trying to create, and get this feeling, the different feeling from what you get in the top 10 Spotify party and major production songs, which is again nothing bad about it at all. But I want to try and do something different, and I don't really want to sound like anyone else. So when people turn on my music, they can feel the difference instantly. They can feel that it's something else, and then takes an interest to research more and hopefully go down the rabbit hole and find some solutions for their own emotional problems, hopefully.
Oh, that's deep. Thank you so much. Will you do any in person performances this year or next year?
I mean, I don't know if it's gonna be happening in New York City for anybody this year. It doesn't appear so. Yeah, all the venues are closed, and maybe I will do some internet streaming show or something like this. I don't have a band anymore. It's mostly a collaborative project. I'm working with different musicians. Even for the music video, I'm working with a drummer who's an old friend of mine. And the next song I'm going to be doing with the bassist I used to play in a band with. By the way, anybody who can play an instrument well and want to participate, hit me up. I'm open for collaboration, producers, musicians, singers. I have a lot of songs ideas. So yeah, it will be a kind of an interactive way. But the performance in its original meaning, I don't know when we are going to get this back, to be honest. Hopefully soon. I mean, it cannot go away forever, right? But I believe, just as David Byrne said in his book, the environment shapes the music, and I am sure, 100% sure, this will shape music in some form or way. Um, Everything is changing, and the music will change as well. Something's gonna be very different starting last year, basically.
Right. So with time whittling out here, what final things do you feel like you want to say to the audience before we disconnect today? Maybe there's something on your mind that looking back on everything we talked about that you may want to just put out there.
Yeah. I'd like to finish with a good advice that I got from, not personally, from Jordan Peterson, who is very famous in the internet psychologist. Yeah. I'd like to finish with the advice to clean up your room, because that's how you start the change. You start with the cleaning up your room, and then you can see what are the things you can do better in your room and in life, and it changes your mindset to things, and you start looking to those things inside of yourself, things you can change, maybe some foolish habits that you've been postponing to um, cut with. I decided to quit alcohol this year completely, just to cut it, and it's been a month now. So far so good. um, So yeah, I would like to say that cleaning up your room and working, actually putting some efforts into changing your life to the better is always a good idea. There's always a change, but don't beat yourself over it if you're not perfect. No one's perfect. No one's extremely successful. It's all marketed ideas that are designed to feel you bad, to make you feel bad, and byproducts that are supposedly going to solve all your problems. You are the only person who can solve your own problems, and you should start with cleaning up your room.
I love it. So man, we got to stay connected with you. Audience definitely want to know a way of how they can, get in touch with you. So if you can drop your social media contact, or other best ways to, find the music or just reach out to you.
Yeah, totally. You just search "When It's My Time" in one word, no spaces. When it's my time. In on Instagram, on SoundCloud, on Spotify. Very important. Trying to um, get my music out, obviously. So that's where you can find it. Um, Apple Music, all the streaming platforms. I'm mostly, if you guys want to talk or ask questions about the project or anything really, just talk about life, your problems, ask what I think about anything. Hit me up, direct messages on Instagram. I'm open for conversation, and we can start all together the conversation about things that bother you. Yep,
Perfect.
yep.
Well, thank you so much, Andrew. Really appreciate you
Thank
stopping
you
by
for having me.
today. Those who are listening, watching, When Is My Time is the project. You heard it right here first. You definitely want to go ahead, hit up all of the social media contacts. Definitely go to that Spotify, put it in all as one word. We'll have those links and much, much more in the playback of this particular broadcast here today. So you want to grab those up right now and share them around. Don't just hawk it to yourself. Sharing is the best way to, get that energy brewing. It does good for yourself as well. This is the Kinetic PE Mix Show on WTLB. This is broadcast Transform You Radio. I'm your host, DJ Potential. Stay tuned with us. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show. Until next time, many blessings, peace, and lots of love.